Welcome to Max Facts Talk Series 3. This is to know your seniors, and here we have a very special person for this evening, Professor M.F. Baig. We welcome you, sir. Professor Baig, most of us would know him, but for the just upcoming youngsters, if you don't know much about sir, let me give you a small introduction. Baig, sir, completed his BDS in 1962 from Madras University, Chennai, India, and MDS in 1975, Madras University, Chennai, India. His total experience of undergraduate teaching is 55 years, and postgraduate teaching experience is about 43 years. And Sir is currently Professor Emeritus in Savitha University, Chennai. He has served as the Dean of Savitha Dental College and Hospitals before becoming the Professor Emeritus. He has been professor and head at various institutions, including Savitha Dental College, Annamalai University, Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, and he's also traveled abroad. He's been a faculty at the Arab Medical University. Sir has innumerable publications and paper presentations in his credit, and has been as an invited guest lecturer at many national and international conferences. Sir has been the faculty member for preparatory course for MFDS Glasgow with Robert Richardson as the course director, and comprehensive trauma life support course with Dr. Michael Purr of Liverpool Hospital, Sydney as the course director. Sir is UG/PG examiners in various universities of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, and he's been the guide and supervisor for research work at both MGR Medical University and at Savitha University, Chennai. Sir has also been an examiner for the DNB Diplomat in Board of Examination of Government of India and the Specialty of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgeons of India. He's also been appointed by the Dental Council of India as inspector to inspect the physical facilities to continue PG courses at various dental institutions. So if I continue to tell about sir, there's much more to tell to his credits. He's a member in various teaching and associations. So let us know a little more about sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
How are you, sir? Good to have you here.
Yeah, nice to see you too. The smiling face.
Yes, sir. So this is actually a very special program, I think, where a lot of youngsters would get to know more about our seniors, not only just the theory part and academic part, but more to know about your journey through our profession. And it'll be great if you can share us your experience and whatever you feel like telling to us to take away home message. So let me start with this small saying: the older the fiddle, the sweeter is the tune. And I'm sure today we're going to have a very sweet tune from you, sir.
By the way, you know what is the oldest violin in the world and most expensive?
No, sir.
It's called a Stradivarius. Okay.
Okay. Always you have an info for everything, sir. And I'm kind of lucky because I've been traveling with sir from the time he's been in Savitha University, I think. So I think I take this opportunity to say that. So let's start off, sir. And one of the most intriguing, I think you would have been the 5th batch to do dentistry in India, sir?
Not in India.
Or in Tamil Nadu, at least?
No. You see, that time it was only a dental wing of the Madras Medical College. It was part of the college. It became an independent dental college only in 1979. So till then, all those people were students of the dental wing of Madras Medical College.
So it was a time basically when dentistry was not very popular. How did you choose to become a dentist primarily, sir?
Exactly. So it is a sort of advice from my father's very close friend. He said, instead of asking you to join the MBBS or any other professional course, let him take up to dentistry. It's a new course, so we'll have a better future. That's how we landed up in choosing.
Okay. And when you went through the course, you didn't have any regrets that you didn't do MBBS, sir? Because most of the kids, when we ask, why are you doing BDS? The answer is, I tried MBBS, I didn't get it, so I went into BDS. But
No,
yours was you chose to do VDS, and did you
sir.
enjoy it, sir?
Of course. I have no regrets, absolutely.
Yes, sir. And who inspired you to take maxillofacial surgery, or what inspired you to do maxillofacial surgery and pursue your career as a surgeon, sir?
Yeah, and sir, I would like to mention two of my great teachers. One was Professor K. Ramchandran. The other one was Dr. C.K. Dhanasekar. Professor Ramchandran, of course, he was a BDS when I joined as the head of the department of the dental wing. But then he went to the UK and got his fellowship. When he came back, he was with us till he retired. He was very sound in his basics, and he had a very good clinical acumen. And he would diagnose a case uh, like that. The other person is Dr. C.K.
Okay,
Dhanasek,
sir.
who was a bold surgeon. He knew his anatomy and he did whatever is given in the book or in the literature, he would try it out. For example, there was a case of bony ankylosis, and he wanted to try out the use of fourth metatarsal joint. It's not a vascularized joint, it's a non-vascularized. He found it in one of those books. Those days it was very popular. It was called Thoma. Thoma had written two books. One is on oral surgery, the other one is oral pathology. So he said, we'll try it out. And he requested one of the orthopedic colleagues to help him to harvest the fourth metatarsal. And it was placed after releasing the joint. Of course, it didn't take up.
Okay.
It's different. But he would try anything. He was a
Yes.
very bold surgeon and he'll update himself. He is a voracious reader and he'll update himself reading books and journals. So these are the two people who inspired me.
Yeah, and I've heard a lot about them, sir, because I remember in tea time also you tell us about your sirs a lot. So back at college, for those who don't know, sir has great regards for his teachers, and as a fact, back in our college at Savita Dental College, when we gang up together for a tea, he would make mention about how his teachers have inspired him, and I think that's one of the things that we learn from sir, how modest he is and how he always appreciates his teachers. Thank you for that, sir. I think we've drawn that inspiration from you already. And you made a mention that it was your father who made you choose dentistry and your father's friend. So I'm sure your parents have really played a role in being the person you are, as for most of us, yes, and for you also. So can you tell us something about your parents and family?
Yeah, certainly. I was very fortunate to have my parents. They were a lovely couple. My father was a very upright person, very honest, and he was a man of integrity. And he had that true quality of equanimity, which I'm going to discuss a little later. He was unruffled, unperturbed, even in times of crisis. Very calm. He always had a smiling face. So he had a great influence on me. Of course, my mother, as usual, any other mother, most affectionate, and she was a workaholic. Okay, we all our children are very very fortunate to have them as our parents.
I think you've taken up both your father's and mother's traits, both being a workaholic and being unperturbed. And trust me, for those who don't know, sir, he's one of the coolest man. And I've always been awed at how can he handle all the situations with a smiling face, not getting stressed or tensed. Even for the smallest thing in college, we get so stressed up, and sir, so relaxed, and that's an amazing thing to see from sir. Sir, and I went through your CV that you have been at Annamalai University, you've been at Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, and then yes, we've been fortunate to be with you for a long time in Savita. And apart from that, you've also been to Arab countries. So can you tell us about how it's been working at various institutions, your experience with your colleagues there, and how it's actually molded you as a person and as a surgeon, sir?
If you ask me about working abroad, I work in Benghazi dental faculty as a faculty member, and most of us from the South India, including Professor CKD, had a short stint there. And the place was so good. It was a Mediterranean climate. More than that, the students were very keen to learn. So whatever we told, they picked it up nicely. And they would do the surgical procedure, whatever it is. You tell them to do it, they'll do it exactly like what we told them. And some of them were very good. They went on to do their PSRCS, some MSc and some PhD. That was my experience in Arab Medical University, Benghazi. The other place is Manipal.
So can you keep your mic a little more closer so that we can hear you better? Yes,
Okay.
a little louder. Sorry, sir. Thank you, sir.
That's okay. So when I returned from Benghazi, I was invited to become the head of the department of oral and maxillofacial surgery in Manipal Dental College. I readily accepted it. It was one of the most memorable period of my career of having spent 2 years in Manipal, and I had a very good team there, starting from Dr. Sripati Rao, Dr. Tariappa, and Krishna Shambhava. They were all the faculty. And the other one, of course, we had some excellent teachers. Dr. Krishnamurthy, not teachers, students. Dr. Krishnamurthy, what we call him as Kitar, Dr. Gopal Krishnan, Dr. Ramdas, Dr. LKP, all these things. I had a lovely time, and we did a lot of surgeries. I was I was the first one to do an orthodontic surgery there. The first surgery which I performed was for a sagittal axis of a subsigmoid osteotomy for theatre assistant. So once we got the good results, it became the talk of the town. So subsequently, we did a lot of cases of orthodontic surgery, and we used to see a lot of oral cancer as well as some rare pathologies. So I really enjoyed my stay in Manipal.
So you told about orthodontic surgery, cancers, and pathology, but I have always seen that TMJ is what you love the most. And why is TMJ so intriguing to you? And I think I should make a mention of even Muthushekar sir. Both you and sir have a lot of interest in TMJ. So what makes it so special, sir?
Certainly. They always refer this temporomandibular joint as the enigmatic smile of Mona Lisa. It's a very complex joint, right? So we have a lot of problems related to the TM joint. Even today, we deal with so many pain dysfunction, syndrome, internal derangement. Those days, it was mostly ankylosis of TM joint. Many children, they they have a fall from a height and they sustain a small cut in the chin. They also have either a bilateral or unilateral intracranial fracture which goes unnoticed, and subsequently they have difficulty in opening the mouth, and it's because of the ankylosis or ankylosis. The moment you release the joint and make the child open the mouth, you see the kind of happiness you see in their faces.
True,
so
sir.
it is most rewarding, not only to the patient, but also to the clinician or this. That is why I had a great liking for TMJs. Of course, always my other colleague, Dr. Muthu Segar, was with me. We have done a lot of cases together. Yes. At this juncture, I would also like to mention about one more colleague of mine, Dr. Vinod Narayan, who was also quite good, but it was very sad that he had passed away very early in his life. And the other person who I must mention is Dr. N. Veerayan, a man of vision, and who wanted to have an ideal dental college. Okay, these are the
yes, sir. Actually, I wanted to ask you, so you've been in, you said you went abroad and then you came back to Manipal. You had an excellent team. And what brought you back to Chennai? And sir was the dean of Savita Dental College when I was an undergraduate student. So all my certificates actually have your sign, sir. So, so how did you come back
Yeah.
to Savita. And how was your experience to be in administration? So we all know the surgery part and the skills of you, but being the
Yeah.
dean of an institution, how was it to be an administrator? And tell us
Yeah,
something about that.
because I actually wanted to come back to Chennai because I've been away from my family most of the time. I was abroad, then I was in Manipur. So the family was not with me all the time. They used to visit me and go back. So this is the time I said when somebody offered me a job in Chennai, I would accept it pretty well. That's how we landed. Of course, you asked me about becoming a dean. Dr. Professor C.K. Dhanasekaran, when he retired, uh, he said, I have brought this college from scratch to this level. I want you to take it up and follow it up. That's how I took this deanship. But to be very frank, that was not my cup of tea. Right?
Yes,
My,
sir. But
okay.
I think you were a wonderful dean. So we had a nice dean when we were
Yeah.
studying. I
I
remember.
enjoyed my subject. I enjoyed interacting with the students. But the administrative part, because, okay, I had to do it because my mentor said you have to take over. So I was free. Okay.
So is there any specific experience in surgery that, always there be this one case which is very special to us? So you remember it very fondly for something very good or something very bad. Is there something like that, sir?
Yeah, I mean, pertaining to oral surgery.
Yes, sir. Surgical.
Yeah. One case I remember, I think I mentioned in the recent conference also, we had a case referred from Andhra Pradesh. That young lady, very pretty looking, she had bilateral ankylosis, which was released by the surgeon there. And that's the time we were started doing distraction osteogenesis. So he sent the patient to us, requesting us to do the distraction osteogenesis to correct the dentofacial deformity. Right? So when the patient was wheeled in and the anesthetist was trying to put the endotracheal tube, she was not able to. There was some problem. And suddenly you could see changes in the ECG. It became flat almost. Patient had cardiac arrest on the table and he was going for pulmonary edema. So me and Mutsegar, we tried to resuscitate. We did the CPR. And the anesthetist, a senior man, he had the presence of mind. He took a knife and did a tricothyrotomy,
Cricothyroid.
pushed a tube, and she came back to normal. So we had our heart in the mouth, right? It was
Right.
a clearly case of elective case. So that was an experience which I can never forget.
Um, Sir, and you've always been into specialty oral surgery. Did you have any private dental practice? Did you have, and did you do anything apart from surgery also, sir?
Like what? Can you tell me what?
General practice or things like that?
Initially, yes, I was practicing. I was a dental practice. I used to do a lot of filling, whatever you call it, except some special procedures like endo and ortho. I used to do. In fact, I had a great liking for prosthodontics. I used to do complete dentures uh, without anybody's help. In fact, I was teaching also prosthodontics while I was in government service.
Okay, okay, so that's interesting.
Right?
Uh, uh, Sir, and always as youngsters, we are so confused what after BDS and what after oral surgery. And I think that was why I asked you the question, do you have a private practice? After doing oral surgery, kids, they are very confused. Do I have to do fellowship? Do I have to go into academic colleges and start teaching? Or do I have to start private practice, do general practice? Or do I have to be associated with hospitals? So it's a very confusing phase of life and how to decide. With your experience, what would you like to tell the youngsters, sir? How do they go about, how do they choose what they actually want to be doing?
Yeah, this is actually what we call it as an eternal conundrum, right? Even when a candidate goes through the BDS course and graduates or becomes a dentist, this same question comes to me. what to do, what next. So there are a lot of questions. Do you want to be a teacher, or you want to go abroad, further your knowledge or experience, or or join some practice? These are the same questions. I think it will apply here also. It all depends on the individual. If you want to be a teacher, yes, you will have to join a faculty or a college. And more than that, see, unlike other specialties, maxillofacial surgery, it doesn't stop with just getting your MDS degree, whether it is 3-year degree. You have to go on for a number of years till such time you gain confidence and you can independently do some procedures, minor or major. So that is my advice. So try to keep abreast with the latest trends and try to gain experience. Maybe you can take the help of some senior surgeons, not necessarily maxillofacial surgeons, even general surgeons, plastic surgeons, to be with them, gain your experience so that you have the confidence to do independently the procedures.
So how do you think OMF has actually changed from then and now, sir? You have been seeing the growth of maxillofacial surgery almost, I think, from the time it has been started or initiated. So over the last 40 to 50 years, how do you think OMFS has transitioned itself from then to now?
Yeah, it has grown by leaps and bounds, I would say. Because what we were doing in those days was a little bit of trauma, and mostly it was close reduction and fixation with wires and mask bars, cap springs, things like that. And slowly we developed, then came the trans-sources wiring, open reduction and fixation. Then came the dynamic compression plates. Then now you have the most popular monocortical screws and plates. So we have progress as far as the trauma is concerned.
So you've done extractions with chisels and mallets, sir.
Of course, yes.
So how was it doing it with chisel and mallet? I mean, I don't think we these days would be fond of hitting someone with a chisel and mallet. So how was it doing then? And then the transition to burrs, which is much more.
We had no choice. We didn't have the motor or the hand pieces or the drill bits. We had only one choice, that is chisel and mallet, right? Even at the examination, we had to use only chisel and mallet to remove surgically remove a third molar. Okay. So anyway, for us, we had no choice. But from the patient's point of view, it was a harrowing experience. Doing it under local, try to hammer him. But at the same time, it's a good thing to do it under general anesthesia, especially for younger patients. And in England also, I've been there for a few months. I've seen they are using only chisel and mallet, 100 J. That's okay, fine.
How did they look at us on those days? So like for now, I think there's much more awareness. Maxillofacial surgeons are the ones who are treating facial trauma. They treat orthodontic surgery. They treat oral cancer. The awareness is much more now, I think. How was it then, sir? Did they accept us as, we are the specialists for fixing the broken bones in the face? And was it accepted by the general surgeons, your other contemporaries? Because I think that time even most of your subjects you used to do along with the MBBS, right? So your basics and all your art and everything. I didn't think you had a separate dental curriculum kind of. I remember you saying that. So most of your classes used to be along with the MBBS kids.
Along with them, yes.
So how was it? How did they accept us, the OT and things like that?
Yeah, initially, they wouldn't allow us to do any major work. So, okay, do it under local extractions and transcellular extraction, that was fine. But to do a major work like resection of a mandible or a benign odontogenic tumor like ameloblastoma, they were very, very hesitant to give it to us. So, as a matter of fact, I had to come back to CKD. There was the first surgeon, his name was Dr. Atmaram Rao. So we had a case of ameloblastoma. We went and requested him, sir, can I do this case for you? So with a lot of reluctance, he said, okay, go ahead, do it. So that was the first case, perhaps, where a by extraoral approach, restriction of mandible as well. So there was a lot of hesitancy from the medical fraternity. So we had to establish ourselves. So not only for this, even for trauma, those days we never had this plating system. We had to rely on pins and needles. We had the box frame, we had the transpetal cheek wires, the plaster of Paris, things like that. So slowly we got the results. Initial, yes, we were struggling.
Yes, sir. Sir, and few questions out of academics I would like to ask you, sir. Something which keeps us always jealous. How do you remain so active, young, and you have answers to all the questions, sir. Actually, you can ask questions to sir from sports, from music, from politics, apart from oral surgery. And he has answers for everything with evidence, with years, and with books. So how do you do that? So seriously, I don't know.
Okay. Now, we will come by one. Like you said
Yes,
about
there's lots of things that.
music. I'd like to quote William Shakespeare. He said, "Is music be the food of love?" Play on. So I had a great liking for soft music right from my school days. I used to listen and even participate in this school function. I used to sing along with the background music. We had some professional players in my school, superiors. One Mr. Philip, who was an excellent guitarist, who was part of MS Viswanathan group. They were my seniors. So we used to have jam sessions with them. So that continued even today. That is about music. Okay. Regarding sports, yeah, I used to play hockey for my college team and also for this first division league in Madras Hockey Association. Right? And after that, now I keep myself fit by doing a lot of walking, stretching, and on top of it, some breathing exercises. Very important.
Okay.
So these are the things which keeps us fit.
So I remember, when you walk into our room, all the men along with sir, as soon as I walk in, they'll be discussing, what's the score yesterday? Who won cricket? Who won football? And sir would have answers from, in 70, this man hit this goal and hit this ball. And today he's done it the same way. And it will be so amazing how sir can remember with all that perfect statistics. It's like amazing. And for those who don't know, sir's an excellent singer. So I think sir would finish it with a little song for us, if possible. And so we did mention about your friends in OMFS. I'm sure you have a huge family of friends actually across the globe. Your kids are in Australia. You have friends from Australia whom you keep mentioning. You have friends all over our country and away also. So would you like to tell us something about your friends in OMFS, sir?
In Australia, I have two great friends. One is Dr. George Demetrius. I think most of you are very young. He's a very fine gentleman and a great surgeon and a good teacher as well. And the other person is one Dr. Swami. He is actually a Tamilian from Malaysia. So he will always address me as Prof. Big Sir, like that, nicely. So in Australia, yes. I've had the good fortune of meeting some of the stalwarts, starting from Malcolm Harris, and I spent a few weeks in Mount Vernon Hospital along with my good friend Dr. Shankar Sadasivam. Then I have met Dr. Derek Anderson in St. Thomas's Hospital. Then I have met Dr. Professor Abdi Geezer in Dubai when I went to attend a conference. And of course, Professor Williams was with me one full day when he had come down to attend a conference in India. And the last person is, of course, Professor Stolino. These are the great giants of the profession. I had the great fortune of meeting them and interacting with them.
Just like friends, I'm sure you have special students also. So lots of your students are doing amazing work now and great achievers. So would you like to say anything on that, sir?
Yeah, I already mentioned about Krishnamurti.
Yes, sir.
Even as a MBA student, I found him that he had a lot of potential and he would come up very, very high in life. And he has proved it. Right? The other person whom I can say is Dr. Ekunan, who is now a consultant in Southampton Hospital. Apart from that, there are so many of them, as I mentioned earlier.
Sure, sir.
Balakrishnan, Ramdas, LKP, so many of them.
Yes, sir. And would you like to have tell us a closing note as an advice for the youngsters, the upcoming oral surgeons who look up so much to you for inspiration, sir?
Yeah, before we conclude, I thought I will just say values for life. So, as a person, you must have empathy, equanimity, honesty, integrity, respect to others, and accountability. These are good values as a person. Forget about being an oral surgeon. All right. Then, the closing remarks, I think. So, I would like to quote our former president, APJ Kalam. He always said, you have to dream before your dreams come true. Okay? You have to dream before your dream comes true. That is one. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. These are the keys that will unlock the door to your personal experience. In this connection, I would like to mention two books written by one is Richard Bach, called Jonathan Livingston. The other is Tuesdays with Maury by Mitch Albom. So, Tuesdays with Maury, there's a nice quote. He says, everyone knows that they are going to die, but nobody believes in it. If only we did, we would do things differently. That is one. Jonathan Livingston is about a seagull. Richard Bach, he has written the book. So in that he mentions about what is heaven. What is heaven? Heaven is not a place nor a time. Heaven is being the best, not the best we want to be, simply the best we can be. So be the best. That will be the advice I would give. So you have to strive hard to come up to that level. And that's all it is. And lastly, of course, keep smiling, sharing, forgiving. That's the right way to treat. And if you see someone without a smile, give them one of yours.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot, sir. I'm sure we got to know more of your other side also, apart from your surgical and academic work that we do. Most of us know about your surgical skills and academic achievements, but not many know about what sir is. And I would say that the best thing about sir is he's such a cool person. He's very relaxed and a humble man, and he's never shown that hierarchy and that he's been the dean of an institution. Sir has never been like that. I think that's something that I've always looked up to you, sir, and admired in you. Thanks a lot for your time, sir. This whole program has been the brainchild of Dr. Jimson, sir. Thank you, Jimson, sir, for giving us an opportunity to know about all our seniors. That's a wonderful idea that you've initiated, sir. And thank you, Beg, sir. On behalf of the Association of Oral and Maxillofacial Surgery of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry branch, it's been an honor interviewing you and knowing more about you, sir. Thank you, sir, and thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot to you as well as Dr. Jimson. Have a good day.